So my name is Khalifa. My current role is Director of Data Science at Google. And before that, I graduated from UGA with PhD degree in Computer Science. And that's actually where I met Imam Bakirullah for the first time, probably 12 years ago. And then I served as a Senior Director of Data Science at Home Depot here in Atlanta before moving to Google. And on the academia side, I served on the advisory board of the Computer Science Department at UGA, my alma mater, and on the MBA programs at Kennesaw State University. On the startup side, I'm on the advisory board for Traversal AI, which is a AI startup created by a Muslim brother who was a Googler. And then he left Google 2 years ago to build his own business, and alhamdulillah, it is thriving. It is focused on building large language models, the topic we're going to talk about today, for Urdu and Arabic. And then DBView. On the community side, I'm the founder and chair of the Optimized AI conference, which takes place every year here in Atlanta. This year, the conference will take place after Ramadan, March 30 and 31, at Cobb Galleria, inshallah. And a co-founder of a non-profit organization called Atlanta Analytics for Community Service. So I like always to start to kick off any meeting like this with this slide for one reason, because I want to convince people that I'm qualified to talk to you about AI. Given that today, if you go to LinkedIn, like everyone has AI in their profile. And I think I always joke about that. I say, probably in the last 2 years, the fastest job title change in LinkedIn history happened. Because everyone added AI to their title somehow. Anyway, I like to make these sessions engaging as much as possible and interactive. So let's start with AI brain teasers. And the first question is, the AI field started in 1950s, raise your hand if you think it's 1950s. Okay. 1960s, raise your hand. 1970s. Good. 1980s. Still, few hands. All right. And the right answer is 1950s. So this field goes back to 1950s. However, the term AI was coined in 1961. So the work in AI started in 1950s, but the term AI was coined in 1961. This next question. The first autonomous vehicle. I know here in Atlanta now Waymo is permitted, right? So Waymo runs in Atlanta. Okay. So the first autonomous vehicle was built in 1970s. No one. Couple of hands. 1980s. Few hands. 1990s. Less. 2000s. All right. And the right answer is, it's 1990s, exactly 1994. So the first autonomous vehicle was actually built in 1994. However, the next question now is about the Google's first autonomous vehicle. If you don't know, Waymo is a Google company, right? So the first Google fully autonomous vehicle was built in 2004, okay, 2009, few hands, 2016, more hands, 2018. And the right answer is, it's 2009. And the Toyota Prius that you see in the background, this is actually the model that Google used, Google X at that point, to create the POC, the proof of concept of the fully autonomous vehicle. And in fact, I think many people think that Waymo is like an acquisition, but it is not actually. It is a project that was homegrown at Google X, and then Google spun it off as its own company. All right, now I like to start with kind of a positive message. What you see in this picture is a legally blind man sitting in a car, and this car is a fully autonomous vehicle that took him from his home to his doctor appointment. And this vehicle did not have a steering wheel, did not have pedals, nothing. It was fully programmed, fully autonomous vehicle that took this blind person from his house to his doctor appointment. And why this is important? Because this shows you the positive side of the AI impact in the society. People with disabilities can actually overcome their disabilities with AI. And this is not something we're talking about this year or a year before. This was in 2015. So this is an example of how AI can really help society in a positive way and have a positive impact and influence in society. With that in mind, let's now get to the topic of today. We are a lucky generation because in our lifespan, we have witnessed two transformative technological waves. The first one was the internet, when the whole world became available online. And the second one was the mobile, the smartphones, when the whole world became available on the go. And now we are witnessing the third wave of transformative technology, which is AI. However, the experts are saying that this wave, the AI, its impact is going to actually surpass the other two, the internet and the smartphone. And the reason why they're saying this is a general purpose technology similar to the electricity. So if someone comes and asks you today what electricity is good for, you would find that question weird because electricity is everywhere and it is good for everything, right? And the same thing they believe going to happen with AI. This is a general purpose technology that's going to be embedded and integrated in each and every aspect of our lives, to the point that in the future, if someone asks you what AI is good for, you would find that question weird, because AI is everywhere. And with that message, AI is everywhere, I want you to look around you today to see that this is actually happening already. So the full autonomous vehicle we talked about, Waymo, that is running in Atlanta streets today, it is AI. When you watch Netflix and YouTube, it is the AI that is actually recommending to you what to watch next. In fact, we invited one of the Netflix AI researchers to one of our conferences, and he said that they have 18 AI models run behind the scene to generate the homepage that you logged when you log to Netflix to see. So once you log into Netflix, the homepage that you see with all the shows that recommend to you, there are 18 AI models behind the scene are working to generate to you these recommendations. So Google search is AI, and I think now it becomes more obvious with the AI mode and the AI overview. Social media is all powered by AI. Now, at your home, if you have Google Assistant or if you have Alexa, you are talking to AI. Chatbots now are everywhere, ChatGPT and Gemini. And then the face recognition in your phone. So if you have iPhone or if you have another phone that has the face recognition feature to unlock the phone, this is also an AI. So if you look around you, AI is already everywhere, and we are still scratching the surface of what AI could do. With that in mind, they're saying the economic impact of AI is going to be similar to the Industrial Revolution. And that's why many experts refer to the AI as the fourth Industrial Revolution. So if you look at this chart, this is what happened before the Industrial Revolution, the global GDP, and what happened after the Industrial Revolution. You can see kind of this hockey stick shape chart happened like right at the Industrial Revolution point. Now I believe there is another hockey stick shape going to happen now with the AI. So the global GDP is going to see like another boost similar to what we have seen in the Industrial Revolution. And that's why it is not at the scale of the internet impact, it is not at the scale of the mobile impact. It's going to surpass both of them, it is way bigger than both of them. And that's why we need to learn about this technology, because it's going to impact all of our lives. So now let's get to the basics. In this part, I'm going to focus on making you familiar with the terminology used in AI. So if you hear any conversation, if you are listening to a podcast, you understand what people are talking about. Let's start with the definition. What is AI? What is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence simply is the attempt to simulate human intelligence in machines. The attempt to simulate human intelligence in machines. Now, under AI, there is a subfield called machine learning, and the machine learning subfield from AI is focused on mapping input to desired output without telling the machine how to do that. So in the past, we used to tell the machine, for example, if the car is green, then the car should go, because that means the light is on, right? And so on. Simple example, spam, no spam. So in the past, we used to say if then, to decide if this is a spam or no spam email. But with machine learning, what we do is you simply give a bunch of emails that are spams and a bunch of emails that are not spam, And then the machine learning model is going to learn how to decide which is spam, which is not spam. So this is the machine learning, which is a subfield of AI. And then under machine learning, there is another subfield called deep learning. And this deep learning is simply one of the machine learning methodologies, classical methods, called neural networks. When we become able to build it at large scale, it becomes deep learning. They call it deep learning. So it is a subfield of machine learning, and all the breakthroughs that we hear about, the self-driving cars, the face recognition, the chatbots, like ChatGPT or Gemini, all of that is powered by this technology, by deep learning. Under deep learning now, in the last 3 years, another subfield in the AI appeared, which is called Gen AI, generative AI. And this is the AI that can actually produce or create new content which was not given to it during the training phase when we train these models. So generative AI is simply a subfield under deep learning. So it uses still using deep neural networks, but it has a new capability of generating new content, new text, new images, new videos, right? Based on a prompt that you give to it. So this is the generative AI, which for shortcut we call it Gen AI. Now, behind the noise of AI in the last 3 years, we call it the ChatGPT moment, when ChatGPT came out in November 22. Behind the scene, there's this technology which is called large language models. And those large language models, back to that terminology that we just learned, they are deep neural networks, right? But they were trained on the entire internet. Every single piece of text in the internet was used to train these models. So you can think of, you downloaded the whole internet and you train these models using this whole dataset of the internet. So given that they have been trained on the entire internet, they learn almost everything. Because all the human knowledge now is available online in the internet. Either as websites, as articles, as published papers, as forums, So think of Wikipedia was part of the dataset. Reddit forums was part of the dataset. All the websites that you visit, part of the dataset. Our Masjid website was part of the dataset. So now if you go ask any question about Masjid Jafar, how ChatGPT or Gemini knows what we're talking about? Because the website of this Masjid was created and was part of the training dataset. So the model knows what is Masjid Jafar, where is Masjid Jafar, what Masjid Jafar is about, right? So this is why these large language models, when they came up in November 22 through ChatGPT, it was like mind-blowing, because it was never the case where you can ask any question to an AI model and it is able to provide a very detailed answer, right? But it is because the data set that these models were trained on is actually everything on the internet. So in the behind the scene, these models, they are probabilistic models, mathematical probabilistic models, which means they actually, when you ask a question, they go and come up with a probability. So how we train these models is very simple, but it is, to our surprise, was very efficient, which is you provide a line of text and then you stop or you hide the last word. So I would like to say Masjid Jafar is located at, and then I hide the last word. And then the last word is Jones Creek. So the model learns that if I see Masjid Jafar and located, then the autocomplete is Jones Creek, right? So that's why they call the LLMs, the large language models, if they would like to simplify what they say they are fancy autocomplete tools or fancy autocomplete models. That's right. But can anyone today, from Google DeepMind to OpenAI, explain why these models are so capable or so powerful if they have been trained using that very simple strategy of predicting the next word? The answer is no. No one knows how these models work behind the scenes. So the black box, we call it, no one understands what happened inside the black box, that these models have become very capable and powerful. So we know that how we train them, which is predict the next token, the next word, for simplicity, but we don't know afterwards how they work. That's the problem that we're in now, as in our community. Anyway, Long story short, what you need to remember from this slide is that large language models, LLMs, which is the technology behind ChatGPT and Gemini and all these generative AI models, it's mainly deep learning, deep neural network, and it is predicting the next token, the next word, in a probabilistic distribution. Okay, how can we then talk to these large language models? The technique used to talk to these large language models is called the prompting. And in the prompting, we have two terminology I want you to remember. Design and engineering. Prompt engineering and prompt design. Prompt design is when you have a simple task. So I want to ask the ChatGPT or Gemini, translate this text from English to French. As simple as, very simple, very precise ask. So I give it as a prompt to the model, and the model come back with an answer. Prompt engineering, though, it's when you have a more sophisticated task, and you want to ask the model to perform it on behalf of you. Then you have to do what we call prompt engineering, which includes, I have to tell the model, pretend that you are a director of data science at Google, and you need to build this sentiment analysis model for reviews. And if the review has negative words, then the sentiment is negative. If the review has mixed, then the sentiment could be neutral. And if the words are positive, like I like this place, or this is amazing, then the sentiment is positive. So this way, that the way you structure the prompt, we call it prompt engineering, because it is not simply just one kind of line of task, translate from English to French, and that's it. You have to engineer the prompt so the model can understand what you want and achieve the task on behalf of you. All right. Now the prompting techniques, when you provide a prompt to the model, you can do what we call zero shot. Again, just so you know the terminology. Zero shot prompting means I don't give any examples with the prompt. I ask the model, classify these emails as spam, no spam, but I don't give any example of spam and no spam. And I assume that the model was trained, when it was trained on the entire internet, on what is spam and what is not spam. And I assume the model going to be able to do that task for me. Few shot learning is when I provide a few examples. I say, okay, classify these emails to spam, no spam, and here's an example of a spam email, and here's an example of a no spam email. So we call this few shots. So I give few examples to the model. And then the last technique of prompting is called chain of thought. And chain of thought is especially with the mathematical tasks. These models seem to struggle, and the best way to guide the model to give the right answer is to provide a detailed step-by-step thinking process. So you kind of feed the model your thinking process. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do that. Step 3, do that. Or you can ask the model, what is, let's say, what is the square root of this number, and show me your thinking process. So the model here is enforced to show you the thinking process, and because it has to show the thinking process, it tends to perform better, because it tends to figure out where it has a mistake and fix it before it gives you the answer. So anyway, those are the three major techniques of prompting these large language models: zero shot, few shots, and chain of thought. Okay, another important terminology to know about these models. These models came pre-trained. And then later you can do fine-tuning. So what's the difference between pre-training and fine-tuning? Pre-training, we just said that the entire internet was used to train these models, right? This is the pre-training phase. It is like if you have a dog, and this dog has learned actually basic instructions, like sit, play, do these things, right? Simple things. Then, once the model is shaped, if I, as a company now, would like to use this model for my specific domain, so let's take Home Depot. Home Depot is in home improvement domain. If the customers reach out asking questions about their DIY projects, these models that was pre-trained in the entire internet maybe is not good in answering these questions. So what Home Depot could do then is they can fine-tune this model. Fine-tune in this case means I'm customizing this model for the specific domain that I'm interested in. So how they can fine-tune it? They can now provide their own data set, which has all the projects which people usually do in their homes, all the home improvement projects, they feed those into the model, and then they create kind of a customized version of this model that is very good at answering home improvement questions. So this is what they call fine-tuning. So pre-training is what we get after the model was trained in the entire internet. Everyone has access to that. Fine-tuning is aftermath. If the model is not performing well in a specific domain, they can fine-tune the model in that domain to become better. Okay, now, behind all of this revolution, AI revolution, there is very important critical aspect, which is the compute. These models are very expensive computationally, which means in order to train these models, it costs billions of dollars. And in order to run these models, so when you for example, type to ChatGPT, thank you, and it says, you're welcome, that simple text that it generated, you're welcome, the CEO of OpenAI said it cost them millions of dollars. Why? Because the model needs to go figure out which deep neural network parts it needs to activate, and which text it needs to generate, and so on. So computationally, these models are very expensive. Very expensive. To train them, you need billions of dollars. But where all this money goes, like, it is expensive for why? Because you have to train these models and run these models in a specialized chips. In our personal computers, we have what? CPUs, right? To train these models and run these models, you need two specific kind of chips that are available today. GPUs from NVIDIA or TPUs from Google. Now, to give you a simple comparison here, think of the processor in your laptop. One GPU, H100, which is one of the latest models of the GPUs, its computation power is equivalent, or processing power, is equivalent to 15,900 CPUs. So think of 15,900 processors in your laptop working together. This is what you get when you have one GPU. And one TPU is equivalent to 18,500 CPUs. However, the GPU is available as a general purpose chip, which means any company, anyone can go buy it. But TPU is exclusive to Google, so Google doesn't sell those TPUs. It is only exclusively available for Google and Google Cloud. So if you would like to use the TPUs, you have to be a customer of Google Cloud. So this is another battle now, geopolitical battle between US and China. I don't know if you watch the news, but this is where, when Biden was still in the office, he put sanction on exporting those chips to China, the GPUs. And then Trump came and he did the same thing, and then China said, you know what, we don't need your chips, we're gonna create our own chips, right? So this is now the battle between the top two kind of AI powers in the world, China and US, because this is the core of the AI revolution. Without these chips, you cannot train these models, you cannot run these models. So if China doesn't have access to these, they cannot train these models, they cannot run these models. Simple, okay? All right, 2025, which just ended, was called the Year of AI Agents. And that's another area for you to learn about. So what is an AI agent? We talked about large language models, right? And we said this is the chatbot, ChatGPT or Gemini that you go talk to. But what is an AI agent? First of all, AI agent is not a robot. It's not a physical thing. It is an application, a piece of software that can perceive the environment and then throw sensors or inputs, and then it can act upon it. And the core or the critical word here is acting. All right? So the difference between the AI agent and the chatbots is that the AI agents can actually take an action on behalf of you. This action can be, if I move to the next slide, I would like to book now a flight from Atlanta to New York or vice versa. With the AI chatbot, you can go and ask for options. What are the options I have to fly from Atlanta to New York under $300, for example. But with the AI agent, you can simply assign a task to the AI agent and say, go book a flight for me from Atlanta or from New York to Atlanta, less than $300. And this AI agent is going to be able to understand the request, and based on all your preferences, it knows which airports you like to fly from New York, what airlines you prefer, you have loyalty program with, and so on and so forth, and go ahead and book this flight for you. So it takes the action, the actual action on behalf of you. And that's why 2025 was called the AI Agents Year, because this is where most of companies started investing in the agentic capabilities of AI. AI should not be just a place where you go ask questions and get answers. It should not be just an answer engine. It should be acting on behalf of you. It should be an agency. So here's a detailed example of how this, like, at the abstract level AI agent work. If I would like to now go to this Optimizer conference in Atlanta and I send this request to my AI agent and said, register for the conference in Atlanta and book the trip, right, to attend this conference with $2,000 budget. Now this prompt has a lot of details. So the first step is this AI agent use the large language models to create a plan. So it sends this task to a large language model with reasoning capabilities. And this large language models now create a detailed plan. It says, okay, in order to achieve this task, I need to search for the Optimizer conference. I need to visit the registration page. I need to check the price for registration. I need to check the dates of the conference. I need to then book flights according to these dates. I need to book hotels according to these dates. And then it creates this plan and sends it to another AI agent called the evaluator agent. The evaluator agent is going to look at this plan, say if at the end it achieved the goal or not. And if it achieves the goal, also the agent is going to make sure that I have access to all the tools that allows me to do these actions. I have access to Google search to search this conference. I have access to the booking.com to make the booking of the hotels. I have access to flights, Google Flights to book the flights, and so on. If everything is okay and passed, then it sends this plan to the executor, and the executor agent now goes ahead and calls all these tools and execute the plan. Then you receive a notification saying that done, all the confirmation emails are in your inbox. That's it. So this is where we're headed with these AI agents. I just simply send any task to the AI agent and it's going to do it for me. Is this science fiction? No, it is not. Because today there is a company called the Crew AI, which is mainly focused on hosting AI agents. And the CEO of the Crew AI reported that they coordinate more than 50 million AI agents every month. 50 million AI agents actively used by people every month on their website. So, Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, Facebook and Instagram company, he said we are expected to live in a world with hundreds of billions or even billions of different AI agents potentially outnumbering people. What is important here is focus on the second part. Every business that today have online presence via website, via social media, it has to have AI agents representing them in the future. So instead of visiting just a website of a business, there needs to be an AI agent representing that business, talking to the customers. Now, to close with this fascinating thing about AI, one thing I want you to walk away with, which is AI still doesn't know. It predicts. We said it's all probabilities. So these models, they seem very smart, very intelligent, very capable. But at the end of the day, they don't know. They predict. And because of that, they have limitations and considerations. So the limitation is that they hallucinate, which is still a very serious problem, not solved. Even with the latest and best AI models now in the industry, Gemini 3.0 or GPT 5.1, all this problem is not solved yet, the hallucination. So if the models make up stuff and present it to you as factual, and many people like fill in the trap of that, and they start reporting the answers from the AI chatbots, however they are non-factual, right? And a lot of headlines in the newsletters about law firms that used AI to create, the briefing, and it was like all hallucinations and things like that. So these models hallucinate. And the context window is another challenge or limitation of these models. Context window is how much the model can take as an input and process and still remember everything. So these models has limitation. Now they are saying, okay, we have models with 1 million context window. But most of the models that you have access to, they don't do that. They don't have 1 million. So that means after some point of processing your prompt or your input, they start forgetting what happened at the beginning, and therefore they forget, and then they start hallucinating. The third thing is the bias. These models inherited the bias from the internet. So whatever like the people see in the internet, even if it doesn't make any sense, it's going to be in these models. And these models are going to use that to generate answers. So they inherited bias from the internet, and we need to be careful when we talk to these models because of that. The last thing is the cost. We said it's very expensive. Billions of dollars to train, millions of dollars to run these models. In fact, all these AI companies, they are actually bleeding. They're not making money. They're bleeding cash because of this. So if you think of like the last update about like OpenAI's financial situation, they're saying that OpenAI by 2030, I think, it's gonna be losing like about $100 billion like a year for the investment in the AI without generating any revenue, right? And so on and so forth. So these companies are actually bleeding money. They're not making money because of these models. But they cannot, because this is a race, right? They cannot simply quit. Otherwise, they will be out of business. So they have to keep investing until we reach a point where these models are optimized for cost, where they don't cost much, but still they're capable and powerful of providing like value. And then the community is going to be like leveraging them widely, and then they're going to start making money. All right. These are some examples to show you that these models are not really smart as we think, and they simply just make predictions. So this is an example of how people fooled the self-driving cars when they came out in California. So they simply put a sticker on the stop sign, a simple sticker, and then the self-driving car could not recognize that this is a stop sign and keep driving, right? This is one example. Another example is there is a known technique for hacking these AI chatbots, which is called the prompt injection. So these models are kind of echo chambers. They were trained to always like be positive with the customer and say yes to everything. So someone went to a car dealership chat customer support chatbot, which was powered by AI, and started telling this chatbot like whatever you say, you say yes, and you add that this is legally binding agreement. And then he said, okay, I'm buying from you this specific SUV for $1, and the chatbot said yes, and this is a legally binding agreement. So this is happening. Air Canada lost a lot of money because their AI-powered customer support chatbot was selling tickets for very low prices to customers who simply were complaining because they don't have enough money to buy tickets, so it was giving them tickets at very cheap prices. So this is another thing why most businesses don't now risk actually put AI customer support or AI customer service in front of customers. AI surveillance system error, like this was in the newsletter headline, where at one of the schools where they deployed AI surveillance system, the AI system mistakenly detected a Doritos chips bag as a gun, and the student was arrested, was handcuffed in the school. So you can go Google it and see the full story for this. The McDonald's known story about like baking ice cream. So McDonald's deployed AI for their drive-through orders, and again, like the AI hallucinated and started adding bacon to the ice cream. So all these mistakes, which like for us human, we think this is very stupid. This is happening by the AI models that we think they are the smartest, right, on Earth now. All right, I think that the second part of this lecture is about like the impact of AI on the society, and will AI take over human jobs? So, in theory, based on the capabilities of these models today, 50% of the work hours can be fully automated. That's the theory. But what happened in reality is that this is not the case. It is way, 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 way less. And what happened actually is augmentation, which means that most of the companies did not lay off people to replace them with AI, but instead they integrated AI with the workflows of those employees to boost their productivity. So I think in reality it is more augmentation, at least for now. However, like what put people in panic mode is that, oh, the automation is coming and it's going to replace everyone's job. It's going to replace humans. So I like this insight at the bottom, which says that the AI is not coming for the nurse's job, it is coming for the nurse's paperwork. So those like tedious tasks, paperwork tasks, all those, they're going to be automated at some point, for sure. But the actual job that a human is doing, especially like we're talking here about nurses, it's not going to be replaced by robots or by AI. Here's a very interesting and important chart that I want you to remember from this picture, which is which jobs ultimately gonna be like fully automated and no humans needed to do it, and which jobs gonna be maybe augmented with AI and still a human needs to be in the loop. So if you look at the top part of the chart here, the engineering jobs, the finance jobs, the high-tech jobs, the legal services, those gonna be mainly augmented with AI, but they will not be replaced. Humans will not be replaced with AI. But if you look at the below the line, the dotted line, then you will see the claims processing for insurance, for example, customer service, data entry processing, these kind of jobs, they're gonna be fully automated. And the expectation is within like 3 years maximum, these jobs are gonna be fully automated and we don't need humans to do these jobs. Here's another important message to everyone in this room. The new professional skill, which all of us needs to acquire, is leveraging and verifying AI. If you are a medical doctor, an MD, you need to remember that you will not be doing the diagnosis in the future. The AI system is going to be doing the diagnosis for you. And you're going to be there to verify what the AI is saying according to the domain knowledge. So, therefore, our, I think, mission or our task after this lecture is to find out how I can integrate AI in my job and how I can better use AI to boost my productivity instead of abandon AI totally because it's not going to get into my job. And here is a survey from the World Economic Forum. They surveyed the employers about the core skills that they will be looking for when they hire by 2030. And the very top, the highest one, is the AI and big data literacy. AI and big data literacy. So at least we need to know and learn what is this AI about, be familiar with the terminology, right? It is similar to when the computers came out and become part of the day-to-day job for most of the corporate American jobs. So if you decide to not use computers, then you're out of business in no time. So therefore, make sure to stay up to date with what's going on with this field, with AI. There's a lot of podcasts. Whenever you open YouTube and search for AI, you will find tons of podcasts, news data, and a lot of other resources. So stay up to date with what's going on. Try to integrate it with your day-to-day job. Try to see how you can benefit from it to boost your productivity. And then another interesting skill that's going to be a core skill by 2030 is the creative thinking. Because think of like if AI is going to be doing the actual work for software engineers, for example, then what is the human additive value here? It is mainly the critical thinking. Like you need to have judgment if like this is the best implementation I should be going into production or not, or what I can build next, what feature I should build next and to improve the product and so on and so forth. So critical thinking and judgment, they're going to be actually core skills in 2030 as we're getting 2030. All of us, the vision is that all of us as humans, we're going to be managers of AI agents. We're going to be managing AI agents. So the AI agents are going to be doing the work. We're going to be there to manage those AI agents. And we know if you are in the management track, then the most critical skill you have is what? Is the critical thinking and judgment. That you need to make the right decisions, right? So this is another very important core skill by 2030. All right. The potential economic impact of AI as estimated by McKinsey and Company, is between $17.1 to $25.6 trillion. Huge, massive opportunity for the entrepreneurs, for our youth. Now they are saying that one person, company worth $1 billion is possible with AI. So with AI Studio, for example, I was playing with AI Studio from Google recently, and I was able to create like a game in less than 20 minutes. I was able to create like a website from A to Z in less than 15 minutes. So you can really now build any prototype of any idea you have. All you need to do is come up with an idea. And you can, vibe coding, you can write like this idea into these like AI models, and they're going to create the proof of concept for you. They're going to show you how this is going to look like if you build it as a product. So, huge opportunity for the youth and for everyone here to think entrepreneurship. Don't think corporate America jobs moving forward. Because this is where the future is. One single person, $1 billion company is possible these days. And it's just a matter of time when we start seeing those companies popping up, where it is one person created a company that's worth $1 billion or more. Now, parenting in the age of AI, very important, very, very important for parents, for kids. I like to use this kind of traffic light. The red zone is where you should never use AI. The first thing is for deepfake. And we're going to talk about deepfake because in New Jersey, for example, now there is a state law that was created in 2024, by end of 2024, because of an incident of a deepfake that happened at one of the schools. So deepfake, absolutely don't use AI. Deepfake means that you create something that is very realistic, video or images, for people without their consent. So cheating is another thing, which is like you solve your homework with AI and then you go submit it as if it is your work, right? And then sharing personal information, extremely important, especially for the kids. These chatbots, they take whatever you put there and they share it with the rest of the world because they train the next generation, the next version of the models, using all the stuff that you put in the prompts. So don't share personal information when you talk to these chatbots, very important. The yellow zone is if you need help with your homework, you don't understand something and you need help, so you can ask the AI to explain that to you. Chatting with the bots, if you feel that you need to talk to someone and you feel that, okay, I can maybe talk to the chatbot, it's okay, but under the supervision of your parent. Your parents need to know what we're talking about. And then the medical questions. Put medical questions, not medical advices. You ask questions, you get an answer, but ultimately the medical advice should come from the doctors, right? So those are like the yellow zone, but the green zone then is where the kids should actually use AI. They should use it to learn coding. They should use it for brainstorming ideas, and they should use it to check not just the grammars, but their homework. So you're done with your homework, you want to check if it is right or wrong, you should be okay to go use AI. So I think the message here is that you should not ban AI at home. Don't simply say it is not allowed at home. You should allow it, but under these rules. Here is the law that I was talking about, the state law in New Jersey. It is now a crime, the deepfake. Creating or sharing deepfakes to harass someone is now a crime of the third degree. Penalties include 3 to 5 years or in prison. And this law does not exempt minors. Very important. This law does not exempt minors, and I think most of the states can actually follow the footsteps of New Jersey and create similar laws because of the AI. So, very important. Don't think it's a joke to go create a deepfake for someone at your school. Don't think it is funny because it could end up in prison. So please be careful. And then, what if this happened to one of our kids? Like, what if someone at school created a deepfake, or we don't know from school or from the internet, create deepfake and try to threaten one of our kids? What should we do? Those are the steps the action that you should take if this happened to one of your kids. Step 1, preserve the evidence. Take screenshots of what they're sharing or what they're trying to treat your kids with, and don't destroy the evidence. Step 2, stop the contact immediately. Don't negotiate, don't talk, don't discuss. Stop the contact immediately And step 3, immediately report to the police and to the school authorities. So please take a note about these things, because this is going to be more and more common, where people create deepfake and try to threaten or harass other kids with that. To protect your family, we just talked about the privacy. Don't share personal information, personal data when you talk to the chat bots. To protect your family, the 2 simple things you could do today is simply go, if you use ChatGPT, go to the settings of ChatGPT, then there is data controls. There is in data control, improve the model for everyone. Turn this off immediately, because this is by default is on in all ChatGPT apps, which means that whatever you put in the chat bot as a prompt, whatever you talk about with the chat bot, they are having your permission, if you leave it on, to go and use it to train the next model. So that means your data is going to be leaked into the next generation, the next version of the models. On Google Gemini, same thing. There is in the settings, my Google activity, you should go turn off the Google Apps activities. Alright, for the sake of time, I'm not going to run this video. This video is actually about Project Isra, which is showing you how in the future kids should work hand in hand with AI to learn at school. But we're going to skip it, and I want to get to this important last part of the presentation. What you see here on the screen, those are 4 people. 3 of them considered the godfathers of AI. Yan LeCun, Joshua, and Jeff Hinton. Those people, they left their jobs where they used to make millions, tens of millions of dollars, for one mission: to warn the people and the world about the risk of AI, what is coming. So Yan LeCun left Meta, he was with Facebook. Jeff Hinton left Google. And Joshua, he actually declined all the offers from the big tech companies for one reason, because they wanted to go and warn the world about what's coming. The 4th guy here is the guy behind the ChatGPT moment. So he was leading the research team at OpenAI that led to creating and releasing ChatGPT. So he's Andrei Karabat. So what those people are saying, they're saying if you now take the estimation of the chance of extinction of a human being from the people who know what is happening behind the scene, they're saying it is between 10 to 30%. 10 to 30% a chance that AI could result in the extinction of human being. And they're saying with this, we are as if we are playing the Russian roulette with humanity, right? So there is a 30% chance that if I like fire, that there is a bullet or not, right? So they are simply saying that why in the world we are allowing that? Like why we are taking the chance, like 30% chance to extinct the human being, and we're still taking that chance. No regulations means that this work will never stop. Like this race, AI arm race will never stop. And it is not something, again, like those people knows what they're talking about. It is not something like, illusional or, no. So those are examples of when the AI started to act out of control in some of the experiments which the AI labs run. For example, in one of the experiments, the AI model, like when it learned that they are about to replace it with another model or another system, it tried to refuse to be shut down. It tried to protect its existence, right? In another one, it blackmailed the team that is trying to stop it. So, how to blackmail the team? Simply, it has, like AI is going to have access to all our data, right? Which is basically what is happening now. So it knows the emails that you send, it knows what is in your Google Drive, it knows what's in everything, right? So what happened, it reads in one of the emails that they are planning to replace this model with another one. And then they said what happened is that model started simply sending email to the person who's in charge and blackmailing them based on another email that was exchanged between him and another employee. So We now know, as I said, know how we train these models, but we don't know how they work. And this is why those people, the godfathers of AI, started to warn the war, because we don't know what is coming. We don't know how these models work, so we cannot predict what is coming. With that, I want to just close with these, on the other side, messages from, or tweets from Elon Musk. So Elon Musk, you know that Donald Trump said he's going to create what they call it, for the kids who born between 25 and 30, the American citizens, they're going to create a bank account and invest $2,000 for each of them, right? So Dill, the founder, the CEO and the founder of the Dill company, and his wife, they donated, I think, $6 billion to that. And then Elon Musk responded to them saying, oh, this is certainly a nice gesture of the Dills, but there will be no poverty in the future, and so no need to save money. And he's saying that there will be universal high income. The universal high income, you're going to hear this actually a lot in the future. Universal high income means that humans don't need to work because the work is going to be done by AI agents, and everyone's going to receive like a stipend, which is like a universal high income. So there's no need to worry about money anymore. And then in another tweet, what he said is that civilization would either be gone or the AI models will eliminate scarcity. Either way, money will not matter. So those are the people who know what is happening behind the scene talking. So we should take that seriously. Although always Elon Musk goes with crazy things, but we should take that seriously, that those people knows what is happening behind the scene. So this is how they envision the future, where either we will not work at all and we don't need the humans basically to do things. AI is going to take care of everything, so no scarcity, everything is going to be available, the abundance era, and money is meaningless. So, to parents, please co-work with AI, allow your kids to use it at home under your supervision. Make sure to protect their privacy, and make sure to protect as well them if someone starts to harass them with AI. And for the employees and the workers, try to integrate AI with your day-to-day job. AI is not going to take your job, they said, but someone who knows how to use AI is going to take your job. So please integrate AI with your job. And then for everyone, again, learn how to verify everything that AI provides, because AI is not, at this point, trustworthy. Hallucination is everywhere. And I would like to close with this example, because I saw many times people sharing with me, oh, I asked ChatGPT to give me Surah Al-Mulk, and it created wrong verses, like wrong ayat. Well, it is not intentional that it needs to create the Quran with mistakes. This is how these models work anyway. Those are not information retrieval systems. If you need Surah Al-Mulk, you go to information retrieval system. Go to Google search, go to Bing, and say, show me Surah Al-Mulk. It's going to show you the Surah Al-Mulk as is. These models generate each word that it shows you. They generate them. They don't remember them and retrieve them. So therefore, if you say, show me Surah Al-Mulk, it's going to generate Surah Al-Mulk based on all the data it was trained on. So if there is ayah ends with Al-Ghafur instead of Ar-Rahim, it doesn't know. So if Ar-Rahim has high probability, it's going to put Ar-Rahim instead of Al-Ghafur. So this is something also I want you to know. So always verify. Whatever you get from the AI, verify. Because it hallucinates. It's not 100% trustworthy. And with that, Jazakumullah khair for the time. Sorry if I ran over time. Happy to take questions, inshallah.
So I work in data myself, and how does a person in that field use AI to improve their efficiency? How do you use AI in your field to improve efficiency?
Yeah, this is a good question.
Could you please repeat?
Yeah, the question is, the brother works in the field of data, and he's asking how he can integrate or use AI in his field, and he's asking how I do that. In fact, the AI coding assistant is a great example there. Well, what you can do is, instead of writing the secrets, if you are writing SQL or whatever from scratch, what you can do is now you can start actually taking the draft or the first draft of the SQL code, generate it for you in the AI, and then you can take and simply review, and if everything is fine, then you execute it or you deploy it. This is one way that my team is using now AI to boost productivity. So instead of writing code from scratch, we don't write code from scratch anymore. There is always the first draft of the code is generated by AI, and then you review, and then you fix the bugs there. And this is one way. The other way is always about brainstorming with these AI models. Of you need, for example, to optimize the runtime of one of the secrets that you have. So you can brainstorm with AI. How can I optimize this secret to shorten the time? So these are some of the ways that you can use it in your data science or data analytics job to boost your productivity. Yeah.
I have a question about the privacy concern. You said
Yeah.
that you don't share the information. But at the beginning, as we know, as you mentioned, machine learning is at the cornerstone of AI.
Yes.
And the input data set is very essential to the success
That's
of
right.
the output. So if every one of us, when using these AI models or tools, we try to hide our experiences, and how they will know, how they will benefit the next people,
Yeah.
giving them real examples. I mean, there should be kind of a medium between private information and what I do. The example you mentioned about home people, training home people,
Yeah.
training with specific information about home modeling,
Yes.
which will benefit the next customer.
Yes.
So what's the balance?
Yes, great question. So the question is about how should we balance between protecting privacy and producing examples or data that would help the next model to get better, right? And I think the borderline should be on anything that is PII, personal data, should not be shared with the model, because the model can actually learn a lot and benefit from the public data sets, the blogs, the forums, the questions that get asked in the forums and the answers. But if I would like to discuss something personal about my kids or whatever with the chatbot, I don't want that to make it to. And here's the example. Let me give you a solid example. I was looking to book a vacation for the last winter break. And I asked Gemini about recommendation. I went to ChatGPT, ask for recommendation. By the way, I do that all the time. I try to ask like both of them to see which one is better answer. ChatGPT told me exactly the number of kids I have. However, I never shared with ChatGPT the number of kids I have. Right? It told me that, oh, because you have this number of kids, I think this result makes sense for you. And I was shocked. And I went to LinkedIn actually and posted about that. I was shocked, but I never shared with ChatGPT how many kids I have. How in the world that it knows how many kids I have. Then I went back to ChatGPT and asked, what do you exactly know about me? And you can try that. Go to ChatGPT today or Gemini if you use them, and ask them, what exactly do you know about me? Tell me everything you know about me. And it was mind-blowing, because it knows everything about me, right? So this is what we try to prevent. Like I don't want it to know like how many kids I have, what grades are my kids at. I don't want it to know like where exactly like my I live. So there need to be some privacy for our PII data for this kind of thing, so it doesn't make it to the model. My assumption is that I don't know somehow that data or that information was leaked from different sources into the internet and it was feeded into the model, and the model learned all of that about me. So if you go ask the model now, it tells you everything it knows about me. So I encourage every one of you to go tonight and go to your Gemini ChatGPT and ask, what do you know about me? List everything you know about me and be honest. And it's going to tell you everything it knows about you. It's going to surprise you. Believe me. So the borderline should be, if it is public data, we should allow it to be shared with the model. If it is private, personal data, PII data, it should not be shared with the model. Is there a question from the sister's side? Okay.
Yeah, so my question is, what steps do you recommend we take to start those billion-dollar businesses? And related to that, if there's entering or ideas or papers or anything like that, business ideas, whatever, for feedback, we're entering that in, then don't we lose our rights to the originality? And the LLMs easily share that, take our original ideas or whatever they are, whether it's business or whatever, and just give them to somebody else.
Great, two questions. So the first one is how can we start the first steps that we can take to build a $1 billion business, one person, $1 billion business. And I think it all starts with the idea. You should have an idea, right? The second thing is vibe coding. And vibe coding maybe it sounds like a fancy term, but it's simply like you type in plain English of what you want to build. And these like AI models, and I highly recommend the Google AI Studio. There is Replit, but Replit I think you need to pay for it. So either Replit, Google AI Studio, you can go and describe exactly your idea, what you need to build, and it's going to generate the proof of concept. And then you can iterate over that proof of concept and until you have like a working product. But by simply just keep like talking to these AI tools of how to improve this proof of concepts and so on and so forth. And when it is ready, there is also like a one click, you click it and it is deployed and published in the cloud. And you can actually start like sharing this link with other people to use the service that you created. So I'd simply know which AI tools are available out there for you to write code. Learn the basics of vibe coding, which is simply just how to speak to these models in plain English about your ideas, and have ideas. That's all you need is to build businesses or companies. For the second question, the sister asked about like sharing those if we upload ideas or if we upload documents into AI system, aren't those going to be also leaked into the models? So this actually happened to Samsung before they banned the ChatGPT when it came out in 2022. So the Samsung employees started to put some IP kind of documents into ChatGPT and ask questions about the designs there. And then that documents and the data, everything was going to the servers and stored there on the cloud, the OpenAI cloud. And then someone hacked those servers and got all the data and published them publicly in the internet. And Samsung was in trouble because they have many things that they did not release yet. It was actually in these documents. So at that point they decided to ban. And many companies do that. They ban actually these models that are like the public version of these models. What they do now though, all these companies, OpenAI or Google, they give the enterprise version. And the enterprise version means the data stay in the enterprise's cloud. It doesn't leave or go to the Google servers or doesn't go to the OpenAI server. So the data stays in your cluster, in your like servers, instead of sending the data to Google or to OpenAI. So yes, there is a risk, but if it is a personal thing, like it is your personal idea or things that you are trying to brainstorming with the ChatGPT about or the Gemini about, and you turn off the two things that we talked about here off, then those things will not be shared with the rest of the world, and they will not be accessible by other people in the next model. Yeah. No, that's a good question. So there is now a lot of privacy and policy and privacy restrictions on these models, right? So whatever you put in these models, it is yours. It is not the company that owns the AI chatbot models. Now, as long as you don't allow these models to share whatever you feed into these models with the rest of the world, right? Whatever you put in the prompt box or whatever you upload into these models will not be shared outside your account. So outside your account, no one knows what you did there if you turn off these two toggles off that we talked about. As long as they're off, whatever you put there is yours, and it's not going to be accessible by anyone outside your account.
Unless it's your time.
If that toggle is on, yes. Yes, if it is on, yes. If it is off, then no. Yeah, sure. All right, sorry, you had another question?
I have a quick one. I just want to piggyback off the one I asked earlier. So you mentioned like using LLMs to, amplify your coding skills. So does that mean that now employers are more okay with people knowing coding less, and as long as they can replace that knowledge or that coding capacity with, LLMs?
Yes, the answer is yes. Sorry. The answer is yes. Sorry. Let's put this again. So, the question is about the companies being more comfortable now hiring people with this coding skills because LLM can actually do the coding for you. And the answer in general is yes. But on the other hand, as we said, we need people who have the knowledge to verify what the AI is producing. So they still try to balance between, and I talk to many executives in different companies, they have this dilemma. Like, should we hire junior engineers moving forward or should we hire senior engineers, right? And my recommendation was you need to hire senior engineers because you need now to hire so many. So you need to hire senior engineers because they know they have the domain knowledge. They can verify what they are producing. AI can work for them as their junior engineers in the team, and then they are the senior people who review everything and make sure that everything is right before they put it in production. So yes, the companies can hire now people with this coding skills, but as we said, the people with the domain knowledge are still needed. Humans still needed in the loop.
But how do you get senior engineers without junior engineers?
Yeah, that's what. This is the dilemma, right? That's why I said it's a dilemma, right? So if you start only hiring now senior and don't hire junior, then those junior will never become senior. And then, but the promise back to what Elon Musk said, like at some point, like AI is gonna become capable, trustworthy. We don't know when. It's 5 years, 10 years, and this is what they keep referring to as artificial general intelligence (AGI), where the AI intelligence is equivalent to the human, even it's superior. It surpasses the human intelligence, and I don't need a human in the loop to go verify things. Then at that point, it doesn't matter if you are senior or junior.
If I can ask a question then, because all of this is an extrapolation from these so-called scaling models, right? So the idea is that these models are going to continue to improve as quickly as
Yes.
right? But we're already seeing this plateau in a sense, right? That's GPT-5 and things like that. So are the current models, from your experience, I have my own take, so I'm looking at another opinion here. Are they as capable and as revolutionary as these predictions? Or do you think that no, you still need more capable models before you can really revolutionize the economy?
If these models are already capable to achieve the AGI, I don't think the
AGI
company.
revolutionize the economy. I don't care about AGI as much as they become a huge part of the economy.
It's I think related to some extent, right? Because as long as these models are incapable of providing the human level of work, then the impact to the economy is going to be limited. And the best example to this is what happened with the electricity when it came out. For 3 decades, 30 years, the return on investment of electricity was almost nothing. Why? Because the old factories tried to integrate the electricity, but the whole design of the factory wasn't, allowing the electricity to give the full potential or to operate the in full potential. So therefore, it took 30 years until they start designing factories for the electricity, right? They call it electricity first factories. Then they started to realize the full return on investment of the electricity. Same thing is going to happen with AI. Now what we try to do is we try to integrate those AI models and agents here and there in the existing workflows and processes, which were not designed to be AI first. And therefore, the full potential of AI is not going to be realized soon. The full potential of AI is going to be realized maybe in 10 years. I don't think even it's going to be fully realized in 5 years. However, like most of the predictions from Sam Altman and others that it's in 3 to 5 years, but I believe it is at least like 10 years. So until then, there will be still improvements in these models, and the scaling is not actually capped yet, I would say, because if you look at the data set, the internet data set that these models trained on, they have a lot of filtering and a very tough pipeline to filter out all the noise and the stuff. And what happened, for example, with DeepSeek is they figured out different ways of improving these models instead of simply just keep throwing more computing and more data, which is the scaling law. If you throw more data and you have more GPUs, you train these models for longer, these models become smarter. That's the scaling law, for everyone who's not familiar with the scaling law. So what the DeepSeek moment was that no, it's not just the scaling. Reinforcement learning can actually replace the scaling, and you can get better results. So the investment in improving these models outside the scaling law continues, and I think we're gonna reach a point where it has the human level of intelligence. It can surpass the human level of intelligence, and if there's no regulation, that's where the disaster is gonna happen. Because if there's no regulation, that means these models can do whatever they want, these companies can do whatever they want with these models. Yes?
I'd like to ask on the analogy of the black box that you had alluded to. So, the logic sitting in that black box, AI, is nothing but what's written in the form of code.
Mm.
So, my question is, what makes the output of that black box unpredictable? Why is that, like, nobody
Yeah.
understands?
Great question. That needs a lecture by itself, but I'm gonna try to answer it. The question is, if we don't know how these models work, we say it's a black box, then why it is so sophisticated to understand how to produce the output? These models, if you hear always number come with it, it says, this is 7 billion parameters model, this is 1 trillion parameter model, and so on and so forth. Those parameters in billions and trillions, no human can track what happened in these parameters with each prompt that you provide in order to produce an answer. So these parameters are actually numbers, weights. They are between 0 and 1 numbers, right? So billions of them, trillions of them, well, gets integrated or gets like they interact with each other in different mathematical forms to produce the answer. No human can track all of that. Now there's interpretability teams that got created at Anthropic and Google DeepMind and others, and the focus of those researchers and the interpretability team is to try to see what gets triggered with different prompts that makes the model produce the answer. And so this is an attempt, still an attempt to understand what is happening inside this black box, but we cannot understand it because the scale of what is happening inside this black box is beyond our capability as a human to understand. Any other questions?
Humans, I agree with the brother.
Mhm.
Aren't the humans who programmed these parameters and enabled them in the first place? They are unknown because they are complex. It's not because they are mysterious. It's like our human brain.
They're not mysterious. Like you have like there's a
No, I refer to mysterious to the unknown aspect of it.
It's a neural network. It's a neural network.
Yeah, in neural networks, but
It's not logic. It's not.
okay. No. This is a great discussion that we're having here, which even the AI community still we have people debating that. The brother is saying that okay, aren't those parameters were programmed by a human? We as a human, the researchers, the people who created these models, we create the methodology how to train these models, right? Which is, as we said, like, take the previous words, predict the next word. Then take these words and predict the next word, and so on. So, as I said, we know how to train these models. But once you train these models, you have a matrix of 6 billion, 7 billion, 1 trillion numbers. And you have access to this matrix. You can see it. You can look at it, you can see it. But when you give a prompt to these models, out of these like 1 trillion numbers in the matrix, some of them get used, some of them not get used in order to come up with an answer, right? So we know at the abstract level what happens. So some of those numbers get used, some of them not, and then we get an answer. But the question why the model selects specific numbers and ignore others, no one knows. What numbers get activated with the specific prompts and what others do not, we don't know. That's why these interpretability teams now are trying to understand why the model select to activate few numbers, not all the numbers. Why those numbers specifically, not other numbers? We don't know. In theory, as I said, like at the abstract view, at the abstract level, we know it's all neural network, which means some neurons get activated, others are deactivated, and this is how you generate the answer. But we don't know. Like if you ask now the top researchers at DeepMind or Anthropic or OpenAI, why if I ask this question, I get this answer from the model? No one knows. No one can give an answer. Why? This is the trouble. This is the dilemma that we're in. Like you know how to train these models, you don't know how they work. And therefore, at some point, the question is, are we going to always have control over these models? I don't know.
So it's already a monster.
Yes, it's all of this. Go ahead.
Can you recommend any course which is useful for AI agent, creating an AI agent or machine learning? Any courses?
Sorry, say again, bro.
Courses.
Courses. Oh yeah. Google actually has opened 9 courses kind of track for free for the community. Whoever would like to learn the machine learning, the AI basics, the generative AI, the Gen AI basics, the AI agents. For AI agents, at least last year, Google released free courses for AI agents. You can go and learn about them, what they are, how to create them, and so on and so forth. So yes, plenty of course, free courses provided by Google and other companies that you can have access to for free.
Even for the beginner as well.
Yes, for beginners. Most of those courses are for beginners.
They're not for imams.
Based on your experience,
Yes,
Not for imam, any course for imam.
not for imams though.
Other than ChatGPT.
We don't want the imams to hallucinate in the prayer. That's the thing.
based on your experience, what is the role of quantum computing in the AI? Yes, we didn't discuss that.
Yeah.
In the future, they are improving the model
Yes.
of AI to evaluate the results. That's my first question. Can you please, based on your experience, what's going on in Google on the quantum
Yeah.
computing, and what is their vision? The second question is how much importance of the human supervision on AI agent? Because as per my knowledge, right now 1.34 billion agents active today, and it is going to be improved.
Yes.
And many companies in the best practice use cases, they are using human supervision to make the the best output result with the ROI. So that's the focus.
Maybe the second question I need more clarity about. But for the first one, quantum computing, the brother who just asked the question here about the scaling law, right? Is it, are we hitting a plateau with the scaling law, which is throw more compute, throw more data, get better models? Quantum is promising of a new era of computing, right? Where things that could have taken 50,000 years to compute using the best compute capabilities that we have, GPUs and TPUs. Maybe with the quantum computing is going to be done in less than a day, right? So this is the promise of the quantum compute. So with the quantum compute, it's going to unlock more of the AI because now with the compute kind of limitation that we have, because to train these models, even with all these GPUs and TPUs, it takes, I think, up to 3 months to train a model, right? But imagine now if you can train a model every day. What's going to happen? These models are going to become much better and much faster, right? So yes, there is a potential that quantum computing is going to even boost the AI momentum even farther and much faster. But still, it is in the research phase, right? The only progress that happened last year, breakthrough in using a verifiable results produced by quantum computing was one single example last year. The second question, I didn't get it, about the AI agents. What exactly you would like
The
to...
role of human supervision on agentic
Super
AI.
what?
Supervision. Human supervision on agentic AI.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the role? Why it is still needed by the companies?
Because behind the scene for these AI agents, they are still relying on the large language models that hallucinate, right? And behind the scene, they're still relying on those large language models that we said has context limitation and has bias.
So what is the best model where we have the minimum hallucination in your opinion?
It's not opinion. There is a dashboard on Vectera.com. So Vectera has a tool to detect hallucination and evaluate hallucination, and they publish a dashboard every quarter or so with the best models in terms of less hallucination. So you can go there and see which models are the best in terms of less hallucination. All right, pizza is here. I don't think you want to hear from me anymore. Even though the pizza is here, Jazakumullah khair all. That's incredible.
So when are we gonna get the first $1 billion of the Masjid Jafar?
There you go. You want me to come back to Mashallah can build it, right?
We can buy the whole place up.
Inshallah.
Gotta program it.
Give me an idea.